Hello, my name is Wendy De La Cruz, and I'm the assessment specialist for the district. If you have any questions about Aware, you can contact me at my email address, wdelac@neist.net, or on my office number, 210-407-0067. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about monitor lists. Now, these are something that any user, regardless of your level, can create custom lists of students to monitor as an entire group, and they can be used to analyze data for specific groups of students, which I'm going to show you some ideas in a few minutes. They can also be a much faster and simpler way for principal level users to do data analysis rather than monitor groups, which we have typically done in the past. In order to create a monitor list, there are two main ways. You can upload a CSV file, which you start with an Excel file, and you can either have last name in one cell and then first name in another cell, or the other method is to use their student ID numbers only, and those ID numbers must have the leading zeros. For elementary school teachers, that probably won't affect you too much because most of your students probably their ID number starts with a 1. But if you're a middle school or high school teacher, you might still have some students with a 09, the ID number starting with 09. And so therefore, you're going to have to take an extra step if you choose to use their ID numbers. Another way that you can do that is you can search by specific student name or student ID numbers and upload and add them to your monitor list in Aware one by one. You can add students in an entire course by the course code that you get from Skyward or by a course name. Another way that you can do that is by teacher name, and you can use the teacher's last name, or you can also use the teacher's email address. When you're creating a monitor list, we ask you to follow our district developed monitor list naming conventions, and those include starting with your campus name, your grade, your teacher, some kind of topic to identify what the purpose of that monitor list is, and then the current school year. So for example, it might be Roan Forest, 4th grade, Garcia, RAP 2017-2018. Here are some ideas for monitor lists. These are by no means an all-inclusive list. The ways that you can use monitor lists is completely up to your creativity as a teacher or as a principal level user, and truly monitoring the students based on what your campus actually needs. So for example, you might be monitoring groups of students based on their performance level. Maybe you want to maintain students who were previously at the master's level, or maybe you want to work on those students that were barely at the MEETS level or almost at the MEETS level, at that upper approaches performance level, and maybe you want to give them a bump. Find some way to analyze the data to figure out how you can improve their performance and get them more solidly in the MEETS performance level. You might be doing this for intervention. You might be monitoring RTI students in a particular grade level, or maybe even evaluating the SEED students and seeing if their tutoring programs are having a positive impact on their performance. You might be monitoring special programs, students in special programs like LEP or GT students. You might also have a campus targeted student group, maybe a particular ethnicity that you're working on improving their performance. You could create a monitor list for an entire teacher's class. So for example, if you're a non-rostered teacher or a teacher that comes in, like for example, a special ed teacher or another teacher that comes in as support to a rostered teacher, you might want to add their entire class so that you are able to analyze their data as well. You also could create a monitor list for a tutoring group. This could be a tutoring group of your own students that are already in your classes, or it could be a group of students across multiple classes, whether they're rostered to you or not. There are a lot of different ways that you can use monitor lists. Okay, so in order to create the monitor list, first things first, you need to go into Aware. Now, for the purposes of this video, the first thing that I'm going to do is, and I'm going to show you how to use your current assessment data to find a particular group of students that you want to target, and then get their names and ID numbers and create a CSV file. Later on, I'll show you how to search for specific students or teachers' classes. Okay, so I'm going to go into all my students, and I'm going to drill down into a district assessment. Now, the things might look a little bit different because I'm in the demo site right now, but the process is the same regardless, whether you're in the demo site or whether you're in our actual district aware site. So I've pulled up a district assessment and it defaults to the student scores. And I'm going to be looking for those students that are just barely made the meets category, performance level category, and also are almost at that meets performance level category. So I can analyze their data and find some areas of common need, target them for intervention, and move them up more solidly into that meets group, or even maybe possibly masters. So to do that, I want to sort the scores from highest to lowest. I'm going to click it 2 times. And now I've got the data sorted the way I need to in order to find those students. I'm going to export it to Excel. And it pops down here in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to open it up and make sure you click Enable Editing. So first I need to find those students that are right at or about at meets. So when I'm looking at the approaches and meets category, I see right here that 6 questions, 75% seems to be the cutoff for what qualifies as the lowest level of meets, and then 5 questions is where they are the highest level of approaches. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select all the students that were 7 questions and above, and I'm going to delete them. And then I'm going to take all the students that scored 4 points or below, 4 questions or below, and I'm going to delete them. And really only because there's not that many questions on this test. That's why I'm not making a larger range. Okay, so now I've got all of those students that were right at or right below the meets performance level. Now I can delete all of this other information because in order to create my CSV, all I need is their name and or their ID number. So I'm going to select these other columns and I'm going to delete them. And then at this point, I need to decide how many students do I have and which method do I want to create my CSV, because either I can upload a CSV only with their last name in one cell and first name in the next cell, or I can have all of their ID numbers. So I'm going to insert a column here, and if you don't have that many students, it wouldn't be that difficult to copy paste their first name over to the next column. So for example, I selected Kimberly, I did Control X, and then I pasted over here with Control V. I can select Madison's name, Control X, Control V to paste it over here. If you don't have that many students, that is the simplest way that I know how to get a list of them. Okay, you do have to copy paste them one at a time. Now, if you have too long of a list, or if you don't want to go through that process, then I can show you how to just get a list of their ID numbers and export that. So after you have your list of names, first name separated from the last name, then you can delete everything above it. You don't need any column headers. And you can continue on like this. You can either choose to leave the ID number there or choose to delete it. I'm going to just choose to leave it there. It's optional. Now I need to save a copy. And I want to rename it. So that's why I'm choosing Save As. And then make sure you save it to a place that you know where the location is, and give it some name that you're going to remember, like Math Nearly Meets Monitor List. And then the most important part is to make sure that you choose to save it not as an Excel workbook. So I clicked right in that drop down menu right below the file name, Save As Type. And I'm going to come down here to CSV, delimited. Okay, and then you're going to press Save. It's going to give you a little warning. Some features might be lost, but go ahead and click Yes. Okay, now I need to go back into Aware, and this is how we're actually going to upload that CSV. So anything having to do with monitor lists is on the Student tab. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom left, Manage My Monitor Lists, and I'm going to add a monitor list. So I haven't added any yet. I'm going to hit Next. I want to create a new monitor list. Now you also have the option, if you've already created a monitor list and you want to add more students to one that you already created, you could do that. But I haven't created any, so I'm going to create one. Next, then you must get your campus. You'll have a drop-down menu with all the campuses in the district, but of course this is the demo site. And then you have to choose the campus that you're located at, or the campus if you're a district level person creating monitor lists at a specific campus, choose that campus. Click Next down in the bottom right-hand corner, and then give it a name. Remember to follow those district level naming conventions. So I'm going to give it my campus name, and then I'm going to give it my grade level, my teacher name, and then I'm going to give it a name that fits with the group. So this is nearly meets. If I was a self-contained teacher, like an elementary school teacher, I might also put in there math nearly meets if I teach more than one subject, and then give it the current school year. So I'm going to do 2019-20 for 2020. After I've given it that name, I can choose to type in a description, but it's not required. I click Next. And then this is where I have many different options. Since I have already created that CSV file, I'm going to come down here below and I'm going to choose a file to upload. It's important that I know where it is. I've got to go find it and click Open and make sure that I click Upload File. After that, all the students that populated correctly will be there. It might behoove you to go through that list and make sure that it matches the list of students that you created, or make sure there's nobody was left off of it for some reason. And after I've verified that, I can choose Next. It says I'm finished, and I click Finish down in the bottom right-hand corner. And there is my list. Now, anybody that is already rostered on my that's already rostered in my class will be automatically approved based on my rostering, and it'll say auto approved. If there's any students that are not rostered in one of your courses in Skyward, then you will have to get campus level approval from a principal or an instructional dean or an academic dean or an instructional coach in order to have access and view those students. So that's how you make a monitor list using a CSV file. Look for another video to see other ways that you can create monitor lists.